jumping into her academic career, Nihal had an exciting 7-year-long run in television production. Her list of experiences include writing and producing at E! News in Los Angeles, Imagination in New York City, Fox 5 in Washington, D.C., and afterwards starting her own production company to produce her own films. Her first was directing a short fundraising documentary for the Niambani village, a full self-sustained AIDS orphanage village just outside of Kitui, Kenya. The documentary premiered on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. to an audience of policymakers at a meeting for the African and Global Health Subcommittee. And it was there she realized the impact several minutes of a film could have compared to hours of speaking and hundreds of printed pamphlets. So in addition, she has had films in both the 48-Hour Film Festival in D.C. and the Rincon International Film Festival 2 years in a row. So since joining University of Puerto Rico in Mayagüez, she has enthusiastically taught 3 semesters of freshman English composition and is passionate about creating more concrete templates for using film and digital technology in our rapidly changing educational environment. As for personal interests, she is an adventurous traveler, loves the beach, film and music festivals, cooking ethnic cuisine, dancing salsa, and spending time with friends and family all over this beautiful world. So let's welcome now.
Wow, that was quite a welcome. Thank you. First of all, Arlinda, thank you and the board for having me. This was quite unexpected, especially after being holed in my apartment for the last 6 months working on my thesis. This is my first time in front of an audience, so I'm just warming up here. But, good morning. How's everybody doing? Tired? Okay, you're not going to be tired at the end of this, hopefully. So, the way I like to present is I like to have a dialogue with my audience. I like to connect. So, if you have any questions throughout any part of this presentation, do not be shy. So, just putting that out there. I'd like to, first of all, I was reading this. It's the role in technology and the art of storytelling. So, as Arlinda kindly mentioned, I was a producer and a writer for that 7 years prior to coming to Puerto Rico. I was an artist. So storytelling is very much an art. And I still consider myself an artist first and foremost. But the main thing about art is we want to inspire. And while I was working as a producer, I'll go into that more in detail with my presentation. But when I was working, especially at E! News, I realized that I was creating content that was purely entertainment, had no real moral significance or no real value that I felt I was adding to the world. So, naturally, I listened to my instinct, which I do. I'm a little too instinctual. My father always says, Nihal, listen to your head. And I'm like, no, Dad, I'm going to follow my heart. So I'm trying to find a balance between the two, which I think is our challenge as just a human in general. But before I go into my presentation, I also want to say, I'm sure most of you are wondering, what are you doing in Puerto Rico? You don't look Puerto Rican, you don't speak with an accent, or you don't have the cultural look of a Puerto Rican. And for those of you who are curious, my ethnicity is actually Indian. My mother was born in Tanzania. Her grandfather was, her father was Indian. He migrated to Tanzania as a young man to start a business. And my father was born in what is now known as Pakistan before the partition between India and Pakistan. So my ethnicity is Indian. If you're curious, you know, my name is normal. And you're probably wondering, what is this Indian girl doing in Puerto Rico?
No, that we know.
Oh, you do know? No. Well, I came because of the beautiful weather and the beaches. But I have to say that I did not come to go to school. I took a very unconventional route. So that's one thing that I'll confess. I came out of the spirit of adventure. I just finished my first documentary, and I came with 3 friends, and they left. I stayed. I stayed. They left, and I had no real plan except for finding stories to share through my film until I met a very special woman. Her name is Dr. Nerida Marosa. She's sitting here. And she's the one who inspired me to go back into school and get a degree in higher education so that with that degree I could inspire others through being a professor, teacher, and using the skills that I learned throughout my years as a professional in the media industry and creating a template or a platform for this new paradigm shift that we're going through. Because this is a new paradigm shift. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. So I just want to thank you for pushing me into this academic career, which I had no intent to actually follow through on. I'm more of an artist, you know, it's hard to pin me down. But I did it, and I'm almost done. So May 8th, I'll be defending my thesis, and from there, doors will begin to open. So yeah, I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody that is sitting here in these comfortable space chairs. It's technology, right? Is everybody comfortable?
Yes.
Yeah? Don't get too comfortable, though. It's one thing that I have to say. Don't get too comfortable. So with that, without further ado, I'm going to go into my presentation. And the title of my thesis is Using Smartphones to Create Films in the English Composition Classroom. And it's using digital filmmaking as a pedagogical tool. And what does that mean? Well, I'll go into that in a minute, but let me give you a little brief career overview about why I think I have the expertise or the knowledge to actually create this kind of a template or this kind of a curriculum. Well, as I mentioned earlier, and as I already mentioned, I had a career in television. So I worked at E! News right when Ryan Seacrest joined. So I was kind of I wrote teasers for him, which are the quick news updates. So I write them for him and Juliana DeCandy, well, she's frantic now. And I go in with them to the recording booth and listen to them as they went over what I had just written. And I was just 22, 23. I was just fresh out of college. So it was really glamorous and exciting. And it gave me the confidence to believe in my writing skills. So that's where my writing skills, I feel, came from. But, you know, there's always room for improvement. From there, I decided to go to New York City 2 years later, and I worked there for another industry called Imagination. And from there, Fox 5 in Washington, D.C., which is actually where my family is from. So I was closer to home in Washington, D.C. And there I was a promotions producer. So I write, direct, produce, from start to finish, the commercials for the local businesses in the area. So I had a lot of responsibilities. So that's what I did until I realized I can use my skills to do something which I really love, and that's documentary filmmaking, finding stories that are inspiring, and being the risk taker that I am. Just following my heart, just jumping right into it. So I did that when I went to Kennedy.